Hello, internet friends. My name is Bay, and welcome to the first Bay Rants About video. And even I just did the update show 146, and I went over all the stats, and we talked about YouTube and Twitch and the life and all this craziness that I'm currently living in right now, and making discussion videos and all this crazy good stuff, right? But in this video is going to be a little bit interesting. I have some notes in front of me. Of course I have notes. What am I doing without having notes? Of course Bay has notes. And there was something that came up on stream recently, and I wanted to just, again, rant about it. This video has no main... what's the word I'm looking for here? It has no main body about it, maybe, I guess. And I'm not gonna like edit around and try to like clean up the audio or whatever, because I'm just kind of spitballing as I look at the notes and just kind of like talk about it. There's no script, right? There is something that's been happening for a little while in the World of Warcraft. And cliffhanger. The footage in the background is just a normal run I recently did. It's just random chunks of normal bosses in the Tomb of Sargeras. So it's not anything crazy, just normal bosses, no big deal. But there's something weird happening in raiding, and I guess because I haven't really been paying attention to it, maybe it's been going a lot longer than I thought. And you can let me know in the comments down below about the different points I bring up here, or if what I've been talking about or what I'm about to get into has been going on for more than I remember. And maybe there are other options and suggestions and possibilities that this has been going on for a while. And as the YouTube video title has, and it's, you know, it's kind of clickbaity, what's Bay doing? And you gotta have the question posed in the YouTube video that is the whole point of this video, so that you know what you're about to listen to me rant about, right? So what is wrong with Mythic Raiding? Now, this is not talking about LFR, normal, or heroic. Mythic Raiding. I am a Mythic Raider. I've been doing, you know, I have my ups and downs, depending on, I've been with my guild for a very long time now. We were as high as US 37th, or like US top 40 back in the Siege of Orgrimmar days. Things were different back then. We had different people, different group, different mentality, whatever, right? Game was easier, etc., etc., etc. You know, I was probably totally awful at being carried back then, whatever, right? But there is, in Legion specifically, something that I put down here in my notes, like, what is wrong and who is to blame? Why does this keep happening? There are always bosses that have interesting nonsense or cheese, or, oh, you can do this on this and it totally ignores that. So there are a few bosses that I'm going to bring up, kind of spitfire here. And I went back through and verified the hotfix notes when I brought these up. I'll have some screenshots on the screen when they pop up right for the notes. And it all sort of started, I believe, with Mythic Cenarius in the Emerald Nightmare. With the tank the green dragons in the back of the room, Zerg the boss through the thorns reflect damage, and ignore part of the fight. There is something that we're doing the same strat similar to this on Mythic Desolate Host in Tomb of Sargeras, where you are ignoring part of the encounter. And is that a clever ploy, or is that a clever strat, or is that cheese? Zerging through the thorns, healing through the damage, tanking the dragons in the back so you never kill them, never make them AoE the raid. And then of course you could cap that all off with Mythic Xavius, which died in less pulls than the boss before it, which normally penultimate bosses do sort of have a lot more going on with them than the end boss. Well, we'll see. Methods on Mythic killed Jaden right now, the only guild in the world to be there. And we'll see how long that lasts, as I'm recording this anyway. So then move far ahead, well, a little bit ahead, to Mythic Spellblade. And I had to go back and check this. Mythic Spellblade, Aluriel, in all of the Mythic Nighthold glory, was able to be tromped through January 24th and 25th, US and EU. February the 7th, there were already hotfixes, lowering the damage of her Mark of Frost by 20% and the Arcane Orb detonation damage by 10% right off the gate. And this is the theme that I'm getting at in this rant video, as I run my hands through my hair and like pull on it, because this is there something wrong with Blizzard's internal testing, numbers, their understanding of the classes that they create and balance? Somewhere in there that continuously finds out right after they put out these bosses, and they're PTR tested or beta tested or whatever, that like, oh, well, this is a little bit not correct. And I'll put like a pinch of well, you know, with the Nighthold bosses. Tomb bosses are different. Nighthold bosses, I tested these things back in Legion beta like over a year ago. They were made when the game was still being built, still being balanced, still being created essentially every other week, you know, when huge builds came out, every couple of days actually. I did so much beta testing. And these bosses, you felt immediately when you started doing them that these were made so long ago. Every boss was just like, hey, let's just sprinkle some ads in there. But we got the Mythic Star Augur then. Well, the top guilds did. And February 7th, there were hotfixes for Star Augur as well, same day that Spellblade was nerfed. Because a lot of the not super hardcore guilds were getting stuck on Spellblade, or skipping her. And even as a side note, the paths around Spellblade, the doors were all closed. So you could skip Spellblade but only go to Croesus. You couldn't go to Tichondrius or Augur or Botanist because they were closed. They were just broken. They weren't opening. And that makes me think right now off the top of my head to the top guilds that got stuck because the iris wouldn't open inside Nightmare, and how many guilds got stuck because they did split runs, and split runs, that ID messed up the mythic iris opening so they couldn't go to Cenarius, right? So I'm finding more things out as I even talk about this. Star Augur, the first kills were 2 healed, to get back on topic. 2 healing Mythic Star Augur. Because the damage needed to kill him was astronomical. Get it? Because he's in space and, you know, whatever. So they initially buffed the damage of the first hit, the application of Icy and Fell Injection by roughly 40%, and the periodic dot damage, they doubled it. 100% more damage. They reduced his HP to compensate by 5%, which was millions and millions of health, and the health of the Void Ads, the thing that should not be named, by 45%. That's a huge, huge swing. And then Grand Magistrix, on February the 14th, had her HP reduced by 10% on all difficulties. The Cascaden Star, her ability she uses throughout the whole fight, but it's a lot more prevalent in Phase 1, then less in Phase 2, and then barely in Phase 3, right? It cast 40% more often, and did 20% more damage, because people were also still like, what, 2 or 3 healing Grand Magistrix, because her HP was ridiculous. Because of her HP, plus the pink ads and the blue ads you had to kill all that crap. So you couldn't bring like 4 or 5 healers to like normal mythic style fights, because you couldn't kill them then, because you didn't have enough damage. And then I put an honorable mention here on the last 3 bosses. There's a blue tweet. I tried to find it. Can't find it. If someone wants to post it in the comments down below, let me know. Like, preface it that it's the blue tweet. That the Warcraft Devs Twitter account said that only the last 3 bosses needed the maximum Paragon trait. Yeah, you find me a guild that was on Croesus Mythic that didn't have full 20 Paragon or damn close to it on all their DPS. You find me some Mythic guild that killed it with like 4 on all their deeps. Like, oh, our Warlock only had 7 and we did it. Yeah, okay. So now we're in Tomb, right? Get back to present day. Method is, as I said again, Method's on Mythic Avatar right now. But they killed it. They used 5 rogues, all ranged, except for the 5 rogues. So the 5 rogues, I would assume, cloaks for soaking fissures, feint spam, the ability feint, probably the talent too, for soaking the purple beams. In case you don't know, on Mythic Avatar, there's 1 yellow beam, which you put into the Maiden, and there's 2 purple beams that you have to soak with your face that lower your damage and healing done by 10% per stack, but at 10 stacks to explode and die. So you need to rotate 2 people into each of the 2 beams, so 4 soaks per purple beam phase. and you nerf the people's damage and healing when you are soaking those. Otherwise, the avatar gets energy. But then apparently this is this is all scuttlebutt, right? Because I don't have like anything concrete on this, just what people said, what people found out. Poison and bleed damage, they're all assassination rogues. When it's applied to the boss before you soak the purple beams, it didn't reduce the damage, or doesn't reduce the damage of the bleeds and the poisons that are on them before they nerf themselves with the purple beam. So they had to use these only melee because every other melee in the game would just get nerfed to the ground when they're soaking them. And because, again, looking back at the Nighthold stuff, the HP is ridiculous to kill these bosses. And they're not balancing Nighthold. Nighthold was about the Paragon trait, right? That whole debacle. But Tomb isn't balanced around that right now, right? Because the Concordance is just so... Like, your first port in Concordance is really good, but I almost have 9 on my Shaman. And it's like, it doesn't really add that much. Each 1 point is like 1,500 DPS. We're all doing 1.2 million right now. What is 1,500 DPS? Nothing. Basically, it depends on what you're specking. If you have primary stats worth more, whatever. All ranged, 5 rogues to do mechanics, and rogues have always been known for their mechanical nonsense. Thinking back to like Mythic Blackhand, last expansion, right? We had to have rogues with feint to soak the slam. We only used like 2 or 3 rogues to do that, instead of having like 12 people under the slam to soak the damage, or whatever it was. You could also have rogues bait the mortar shells because they could keep spamming feint and take less damage from all the volley poop nonsense, whatever. So what do other guilds, so what am I gonna do when I get there? Will gear just solve it? Will they go the same path of Elisand and Augur and nerf them? Will they have to? Now, a lot of people bring up how, you know, is Mythic Raiding too easy? All these top guilds are killing stuff. These Method, Exorcist, and a few others. They're doing 6 to 4 or 3 splits. They've already killed Heroic Kill Jaden probably 10, 12 times in a reset. One reset, right? We only just got the raid last week for Mythic. So we've got the possibility of a normal guild having 3 Heroic Kill Jaden kills by now. Well, they'll have 12, 15, whatever. So they've got more gear. Method has the highest guild eye level in the world right now, based on WoW progress. If the scan is correct, people aren't gaming it with logging out and putting in whatever gear they're wearing and changing their specs to like hide it and whatever. And there was the Chinese guild, Alpha, I believe their name was openly streaming and exploiting this fight with auto hammers to block the beams. So there are 7 Shadow Daggers, 5 Touch of Sargeras Fissures, 2 purple beams, 1 yellow beam. The beams rotate every 15 seconds apparently, but you have to use 4 people per purple-ish because it 10 stacks to explode and die. So this fight is just so clustery. And then a little more my speed. The last little bit I wanted to bring up here is if you haven't heard of the Mistress Sasveen, she's the Naga boss with like the fish and the splashy splash and the whale shark. She has had hotfixes today to fix the blood DK solo soak nonsense that's happening right now, which is basically like, if you killed Mistress Sasveen last week, you know, brava, right? You're 6 of 9, you know, go forth. That's fantastic. But now this week, there was raid tracking for like Exorcist and Method when they went back in for their repeats and their farm, their mythic farm. It took them like between 5 to 7 hours to re-kill this boss because of the changes, right? Like so Icebound Fortitude, Human Racial, Wraithwalk, things that break stuns won't break the Hydra Shot stun anymore. But Blood DKs could solo soak every single Quadra Hydra Shot. But now it's not possible. Some immunities still work apparently, but I was told that they might just break all immunities on this, so you have to soak with your raid. But people have to have the buffer fish on them to do enough damage to the boss, so those people can never soak the Hydra Shot. Everyone else has to, which then splits the raid even lower into who can do what. But then it's also like, who gets picked for the end Hydra Shot can't soak because they're already in the Hydra Shot. So only so many people actually... Some of these mechanics they're just tossing in there, and the damage they're doing, they lower the damage of Hydra Shot to make up for this. But it's just, I can't, these hot fixes that come out, I don't know why this keeps happening. And this is the point of this video, and I just want to know what other options or suggestions or thoughts you have on this, and if you like this style of just me blabbling and squishing my face because I don't know what's going on in this game anymore. And I osmose a lot of stuff because of the stream and the live show and whatever. But y'all are lovely. Thank you very much for listening. And I'll see you all in the next video.